Hi, welcome to live stream yoga with Louise. Tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is all about boosting or intensifying movement. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's practice in a supine position. We are going to be spending the majority of our time low to the mat, playing rotisserie style. We'll begin on the back, flip onto side one, then onto the belly, then flip over onto the second side before revolving all the way back onto your back, and we'll keep playing rotisserie style. So make your way down and set yourself in a bridge-like frame, knees bent, soles of the feet connected to the mat, arms relaxed at your side. You're going to begin in neutral pelvis and neutral spine, and you'll think of using a zippering up action from the pubic bone towards the belly button line to pull your knees into table, stopping knees stacking over hips. Don't pull through the control line, and then unzip to float back down. Rinse and repeat roughly 10 times. Hold your next tabletop lift. Undo the zip and float your feet back down to the mat. We're going to still belly button down and work belly button up, floating our arms overhead to start with the back of our hands connected to the mat. Begin in neutral, we're coming into a chest lift. On an exhale, you're going to think of pulling the zip from the sternum towards your belly button to peel your head and chest off the mat, floating your arms alongside your hips. And then inhale to arrive back down. Repeat roughly 10 times. You're going to hold your next chest lift once you've found it. Then reconnect it to the mat, arms are overhead. Give yourself at least 3 full recovery breaths. And then we'll clip the 2 movement patterns together and we'll find ourselves a working U-hold. So you're going to begin in neutral pelvis, neutral spine. You're going to simultaneously pull up from the pubis and down from the sternum to peel the arms and the legs off the mat. And then float back down. Whisper softly as you reconnect, looking for roughly 10 repeats. You're going to hold your next U, and then you're going to use it to bleed into a 100 pattern. Inhaling for 5, Exhaling for 5 as you rapidly beat through the arms, hinging from the shoulder for the beat. Two more to go. Reconnect head and shoulders to the mat. Hug your knees in towards your chest and keep that squeeze. Roll over onto side one, assuming a low to the mat position, bending and stacking your legs and tucking your bottom arm underneath, elbow in line with your shoulder and pointing away from you. Heels more or less on the same axis as your spine. We are going to tuck the top hand behind the head and we'll begin with the two elbow points touching one another. We're going to open up on the inhale and we're going to stop at position 1, elbow to sky. We're going to close again on the exhale. Inhale to open up and drop just behind position 1. We'll make that position 2. Peel back down to the mat. You're going to give yourself 3 more iterations, making your way closer and closer to the floor behind you and working within your range of motion, seeking movement to breath. Then as you return the last time, you're going to give yourself a small prop on the bottom arm. We're going to extend the top leg. We're going to lock it at about hip height and we're going to use that zippering up action through the lower belly to pull the leg forward and then unzip to float back. Remember that your start and your end line is every time in line with your hips, so don't pull the leg behind your control line. We're going to change the pattern, same pulling action, but this time we're pulling towards the sky and back to control. Keep your navel softly drawn in throughout. Last one. We're going to flop over onto the belly from here. And you're going to bend your elbows. You're going to stack your arms one on top of the other, relaxing your forehead to the back of your hands. You're going to make your belly button nice and heavy into the mat. And then you're going to think belly up and you're going to create a little pocket of air underneath your belly button and then release back down. So we're playing belly up for about 5 to 6 repeats. End in the belly up position, hold it, tuck your toes under, start to squeeze your elbows in, placing your palms alongside your bosom. Engage your core and press up into a full plank and hold. Body line nice and parallel to the mat. Holding for roughly 20 seconds. You could also drop to a forearm plank if you prefer. Then release your knees, shins and feet to the floor and flip over rotisserie style onto the second side, tucking your bottom arm underneath you, elbow looking towards the wall. Tuck your top hand behind your head. You're going to begin with the two elbow points touching. You're going to open up to position 1, elbow to sky. Then you're going to tap to close. You're going to inhale to open up, and you're going to find position 2 just behind your first one. And then close again, giving yourself 5 iterations in total, finding your positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put them in your memory banks. Then give yourself a small prop on the bottom arm, extend the top leg, and start to find your leg pull. Then let's begin to pull towards the sky. Then find your way onto your back to your original position on the mat. But this time, we're going to begin with a long extended leg line. Arms could be relaxed at your side, palms down, or you could tuck your hands palms down underneath your bottom, forging a little diamond frame between your two hands to support your lower back and your sacrum. We're going to begin in neutral. We're going to use that zippering up action through the lower belly to pull the legs all the way to 90. And then we're going to unzip to come back down and whisper softly reconnect our feet to the mat. You're shooting for anywhere between 5 to 10 repeats. And if you're looking for more work, that moment just before your feet come down to the mat, give yourself a little pause. Halfway. Put this movement pattern in your memory banks. Hold the last lift for 10. Whisper softly, come back down to the mat. We're going to still belly button down, keeping our toe line soft and reaching. And we're going to work belly button up. We'll begin with the arms overhead, back of the hands connected to the mat. We're coming into a chest lift. Begin in neutral. On the exhale, pull down from the sternum towards the belly button to peel up into the chest lift. Arms floating alongside our hips. And then inhale to return, looking for about 10 repeats. Then let's play up the foot line on the next 5. So as you scoop up into the chest lift, brace into the heels of your feet, and then soften your feet to return back down. Hold your last one. Reconnect to the mat. We're going to combine the leg and the arm movement together, and we'll keep a soft reaching toe line. Begin in neutral. On the exhale, you're going to pull up from the pubis, down from the sternum to peel up into the chest and leg lift. And then whisper softly, reconnect both the feet and the hands to the mat without making a sound. So you need to use your belly center to control the weight of the arms and the legs as they reconnect to the mat. We're going to hold the last scoop, and we're going to morph into a 100 pattern. Beating the arms, inhaling for 5, exhaling for 5. Then reground head and shoulders to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. We're going to make it a slow press hug. So you're hugging in and you're holding once you found it. Trying to make the weight of your tailbone nice and heavy to the mat. Keeping your chin relaxed towards your chest. Then roll onto your side, rotisserie style, assuming the same position that we played with in the previous round, finding your stack. So bottom arm is going to be bent, elbow looking out, and the top hand is going to be extended, loosely stacked over that bottom arm. You're going to take a big breath in, you're going to open up to position 1 on the inhale, you're going to close on the exhale, and then you're going to give yourself 5 more iterations. So you're going to find your position 2, 3, 4, and 5 with each successive open. Remembering to slow the movement down and to track the movement of your top hand with your eyes so that you're moving the entire top portion of your trunk into that rotational movement. Then find yourself a prop on the bottom arm. Extend your top leg. We're going to do a double pulsing pull. We're keeping the leg in a parallel line today, not a turn-out position. Last one, and we'll start to play with that same double pulse, but this time towards the sky. Last one. You're going to roll over onto your belly. You're going to assume your stacked arm line, forehead resting on the back of your hands, and we're going to belly up for 6. Hold your last belly up, keep it. Take your toes under, squeeze your elbows in, place your palms on the mat and press up into a plank, this time holding for 30 seconds. Body line parallel to the mat. From here, you're going to release the knees, shins, and feet to the floor, and you're going to flip over onto the second side, tucking the bottom arm underneath you, and extending the top arm in a long frame over your bottom arm. We're going to open up half T to find positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, moving at a rhythm that works for you, and remembering to follow the movement of that top hand as it opens up. Then give yourself a small prop on the bottom arm, extend the top leg, and start to find your double pulsing pull. Start to play towards the sky. Onto your back. Assume an extended position on the mat with your arms overhead, palms up, and your legs long and reaching with a soft toe line. We're going to begin in neutral pelvis, neutral spine. We're going to find a hollow hold, and if you need a visual cue, you're going to pretend that there's a big Swiss ball tethered to the ceiling by a piece of string. Somebody cuts the string, the ball begins to pull, it's going to hit you dead belly, and you're going to give me a soft oof around the ball as you peel up into a small chest and leg lift, looking for that hollow banana frame and holding. Then whisper softly, reconnecting to the mat, giving yourself at least 3 full recovery breaths. We're going to do that twice more. Ready to engage in 3, 2. Float that down, take recovery. Last one, ready to find your hollow hold in 3, 2. Think of what this banana frame looks like. Imprint it into your memory banks. And then float back down to the mat, but this time relax the arms alongside the body. palm down. You can keep the hands there or you can tuck them palms down underneath the bottom. We're going to start with head and shoulders on the mat, and then we'll come into that deeper banana frame once we've found the movement. So you'll start in neutral. You're going to think of tilting and imprinting, and you're going to pull the legs off the floor, and you're going to find a crisscross pattern. Stay there, or bleed the head and chest off, pressing into the palms, or float the hands and keep playing with that scissor-like, fluttering crisscross pattern through the legs while trying to hold that banana frame. Then float back down to the mat. Take recovery. Give yourself at least 3 full breaths. We're going to come back into that banana frame and we're going to find a 100. If the banana frame is too much, bend your legs, ground your feet, or bring your legs into table. All right, ready to banana. In 3, 2, set up your frame and then start to beat with the arms. Inhale for 5, exhale for 5. Last one. Reconnect to the mat. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Slow press and hold. Squeezing the knees in and looking for that compression into your belly. And then trying to relax your whole back line with particular attention on making your tailbone as heavy as you can to the mat. Roll over onto your side, tucking the bottom arm underneath you. We're going to play up the top arm position and we'll alternate. So we're going to begin with the top arm bent and the 2 elbows touching one another. We're going to open up to position 1. We're going to close and then we're going to extend the top arm and open back out to position 1. So we're going to keep alternating. 1 bend, 1 extend as we run through positions 2, 3, 4, and 5. Find your rhythm. Remember to follow the movement of the top arm as it opens and closes, whether it's bent or extended. Keep your navel softly drawn in throughout. Then give yourself a small prop on the bottom arm and extend the top leg. We're going to trace an L leg line, so you're going to give me 1 pull to the front and 1 pull to the sky. Keeping your navel drawn in throughout. Onto the belly for some belly ups, roughly 6 of them, playing when you're ready. End in the belly up position. Keep it. Tuck your toes under. Find your way into a plank line. Hold it. And then maybe float the right leg and hold for 10. Then change legs. Floating your left leg at about hip height without rotating through that left hip. Not collapsing the weight of your body between the two shoulders. And then find your way back down onto the mat, flipping over onto the second side, tucking the bottom arm underneath you. We're going to start playing one bend, one extend as we run through positions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Finding a steady working rhythm of your own. Then find a small prop on the bottom arm, extend your top leg and start to find your L kick. Then find your way onto the back. We're coming back into that hollow hold that we played with in the previous round. But this time we're going to have the arms alongside body. So you're beginning in neutral. You're going to think of that falling Swiss ball. You're going to scoop up into the U-hold. Arms floating alongside your body. Holding for roughly 10. And then melt back down. Give yourself at least 3 full recovery breaths. We're going to do that twice more. Ready to engage in 3, 2, melt back down. One more time, you're going to find it, you can hold it. Think of what this hollow frame looked like, imprint it, melt back down to the mat. We're going to return there, either keeping the arms on the floor or floating at hip height or tucked underneath your bottom. We're going to play with the legs. So ready to find your hollow hold in 3, 2, 1. And then start to crisscross the legs, working your way up towards the 90 line and back down to hovering just off the floor. You can keep your arms hovering throughout, or you can ground your palms. You could also ground your head and your shoulders if you prefer. Let's shoot for 2 more cycles up and down. you're going to end not quite at the 99. You're going to keep your legs crossed and you're going to play with 100 for 5. Then change the cross of your legs for the further 5. You could also bend the legs in a tabletop fashion if you prefer. Last one. Reconnect head and shoulders to the mat. Uncross your feet and hug in, knees to chest, keeping that hug in. Focusing on relaxing your whole spinal line into the mat, keeping your chin and your neck and your jaw soft and relaxed. Roll over onto your side, tucking the bottom arm underneath you as we have been doing. We're going to change up the position on the top arm. You're going to drape it over your hip, palm down. You're going to start to lift the top arm, rotating through the forearm to end palm down, tapping fingers to floor, and then bleed your way back. So you're looking for that rotation through the forearm every time so that you arrive palm down. With resistance, as if you are pressing your palm against an imaginary force every time. Then prop yourself up on the bottom arm, extend the top leg, and start to trace a big clockwise circle with the top leg. Inhaling for half, exhaling for half. Big sweeping movements. Belly to spine throughout. Change direction, begin to trace anti-clockwise for 10. Onto the belly for a few belly ups. Find your frame and begin to play. Hold your last one, tuck your toes under, start to squeeze the elbows in and press up into a plank line. Floating the right leg, we're going to releve on the left, so you're going to toe and heel for 10. Then change legs, grounding right and floating left. Find your way back down to the mat, easing your way onto the second side, tucking the bottom arm underneath you and relaxing your top hand, palm down over your hip. You're going to lift the top arm, rotating through the forearm to tap overhead on the floor behind you and then retrace your path back, looking every time for that rotational movement through the forearm so that you're ending palm down every time. Find a small prop on the bottom arm, extend the top leg, and start to find your big clockwise circular trace. When you've done roughly 10, change direction and begin to move anti-clockwise. From here, you're going to roll over and you're going to find a 4-point kneeling position on the mat. We're going to think of that belly up movement that we were playing with in a prone position, and we're going to replicate it from 4-point kneeling. So you're starting with a long tabletop line. Don't drop your head. Give me a long stretch through the neck and the spine, and make sure that your back is neither arched nor rounded, but in neutral. You're going to keep that neutral line, and you're just going to make your lower belly heavy to the floor, and then pull it in 10 times. You're going to end in the belly up position. Keep stable through the trunk as you extend. Let's do left leg, right arm. Float up to table, so in line with your shoulder and your hip. Tap to the mat and float back. We're going to end in extension, hold it, or find a tiger stretch by bending your floating back leg, reaching opposite hand to foot, arching slightly through the spine as you kick the foot up and away from your bottom. Remember which hand that you had grounded. That's going to be our working arm on the next exercise. You're going to come back to 4-point kneeling. You're going to take your working hand, you're going to float it up towards the sky, pausing in that rotation. Then you're going to thread. Either just a halfway thread and reach, or you're going to bring it all the way down to the floor. Taking a rest on your ear and your shoulder. Now think of sitting back, bum to heel, bringing your bottom arm with you, and then extending your top arm so that you're forging more or less an L frame with your arms as you sit back into child. Lead your way back to 4-point kneeling for a few belly ups. You're going to end in the belly up, stabilize through the trunk. Let's work right leg, left arm, keep stable through the trunk. You're going to float up to table, and then you're going to tap out. Not pulling through your control line, working with control. You're going to end in extension, hold it, reach and stretch, or find your way into your tiger stretch. Remember which was your grounding hand, that's going to be your working hand. Come back to 4-point kneeling. Take your working hand, reach it up for the sky. Pause in your rotation, and then thread, either half or full. Then sit back, bum to heel, and start to find an L stretch, reach through the arms. Find your way back to 4-point kneeling. Tuck the toes under and find your way into a haunch line. Pausing, thinking of pulling your knees in towards your nose once you've found the tuck. So you're looking for a little bit of stretch into that lower back. Then ground your heels coming into a fold. You can keep as much bend as you need. One more haunch tuck, pausing once you've found it, and focus on pulling your knees in towards your nose so that you're mindfully lengthening the lower back. Find your way into a forward fold. And then roll up, restacking, realigning your body, and give yourself at least 2 to 3 roll down patterns. Nodding chin to chest, hollowing out your belly, rounding out your back. Arms are just relaxed at your side. We're going to end our practice today in a long standing stack. Taking a big breath in to circle our arms overhead and come down on the exhale in active prayer, ending in gratitude in front of our hearts. Thank you so much for coming out and for playing with me today. Till next time, keep it light.